have it in the siddur. Our regular siddur didn't have the brachos for Rosh Hashanah, so we made one up. Yom HaZikaron.
I actually think that that's probably accurate. I probably would wager, I guess, that is accurate. But hold on, just should be here. I personally have never lit candles. Let's see here. That's Shabbat. Rosh turn it'll be here somewhere. Okay. Would you imagine that? I can't find it in here either.
It should be there, but
Should be.
it's not that big of a deal.
Yes. Well, again, we still have to wait a little bit.
Some of our regulars are home visiting their family, so they won't be here. I'll be here for Yom Kippur.
Hello. Alaikum Shalom.
I just want to let you know, we have to duck out early. It has absolutely nothing to do with the belly business.
I would never take offense to such a thing.
I was working on a migraine.
I hope he feels better. I'm so very sorry. I know many people who have migraines. It's terrible.
Apparently, driving that rain with the lower pressure set it off.
Well, I'm incredibly impressed that you guys came. It's a struggle.
We came last year, first time I was ever in this building. I always wondered who was here. A friend of mine grew up here 30 years ago. His parents are up on the board there somewhere, Saks, SAX, maybe on the other side. But anyways, so I wanted to tell him, I came early and took pictures of the art setbacks for him. And it reminds me a little bit of Isaiah Shaw.
It does have a really nice feel to it. Sure. I really like
The
it.
little steeples that are, I hate to say it on the way out, but that's what Isaiah Shaw was.
Yeah.
I knew the history of Isaiah Shaw. And then after I got it printed, I never think it was this before the deadline. And it occurred to me that I forgot that you guys that got in the Chabad with the front of it. And the beautiful voices, one actually was a rabbi, the other one wasn't. I didn't know at the time. And that melody that they sing, you know, they bring this ball and truckers and everything. 16, 17, 18 years old at the time. And I just assumed that memory was something that was created from Isaiah Shaw. And realized his son, Ashkenaz congregations around the world never occurred to me that that could be the case. Isaiah Shaw.
So my guess is like, how would anyone know? Right? People grow up, they go to the same show. Like, how would you know that other people are doing it?
I guess growing up, I did go to other shows. We had 6 shows in Highland Park. I was in 5 of them.
Highland Park, Illinois.
I'm sorry.
Is that near Chicago? Highland?
There is a Highland Park out there, but up here, if you say Highland Park, people think it's near the zoo.
Oh, all right.
Pittsburgh.
So it's here.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a Highland Park in Chicago. I think there's a Highland Park in Baltimore. I don't know. But anyways, we had 6 shows, 3 of them. But out of the 6, I was in 5 of them. So I did, you know, move around here and there and special occasions. The 6th show was a tiny little steeple that I never even heard of until I started doing research to write my books. And the claim to fame of the 6th show is an odd story. The rabbi, who I never met, he died, well, I was already born, I think I was about 3 when he died. Yeah, it's maybe a bit of what some people would have called polarized figures. I don't know what the deal is with him. He got up, I heard this from 2 people who were there, I heard his testimony, he got up for Kol Nidre, and he said in Yiddish, and I can't say it in Yiddish without having it written down in front of me, but he said in Yiddish, tonight the Sultan has no power, and he dropped dead. Right in front of the congregation. This is 1963 or 64 or something. You have no paramedics, you have no 911, you have no CPR, no G's or anything. They cover him with a towels, his son's still in the body, everybody with the shoulder. This is the weirdest story.
I'm shocked. Like, it's
Jewish
traumatizing.
Chronicle covered it, but they didn't say much, they just said public and dramatic, but after the news was over, they didn't say much.
I gotta be honest, it's like traumatizing.
It is, yeah, it is. Isaiah Shaw, Erev Rosh Hashanah was always a special night.
I think I was starting.
I saw,
That's amazing.
I saw it on Facebook last year, it was advertising. Was last year your first year?
No, this is actually my 9th year.
Okay, so it was last year, I think it was my.
First time they advertised it.
I see AJ Edelman, my best friend in college was AJ Edelman, in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And so I caught my eye. I'm told, since I gotta go see this guy, right? And he would hear about it, you know, I didn't have stuff that I had to name, so I gotta go see this guy.
That's so nice. Thank you. I'm so sorry, but please, this is holidays are about each individual person, and feel no pressure whatsoever. Rick, if you Welcome back. This is year 9 that I'm here. I love it. And it had occurred to me in the shower today, like, at what point do you get to start reusing the stuff that you said, like 9 years ago, 10 years ago? Like, when does the clock turn over that people will forget that you actually said it before? I think that has to wait till year 10. So I'll go dig up stuff next year of what was said and see if anyone raised their hand and said, didn't you say this before? What has really occurred to me, I'll save most of the stuff for tomorrow since this is a small presence. But it is always interesting to note that it's a small presence, because I think in the last couple of years especially, when I was growing up, my philosophy very much was a yid is a yid is a yid, and that is indeed so. A Jew is a Jew is a Jew, no matter your observance level, where, no matter what happens, you're a Jew, and that's that. A small shift has occurred, at least for me, in the last couple of years, with the rise at the same time of the external pressures on the Jewish community, but also the internal fractures within part of the Jewish community, in which a fair amount of our youth have grown up without an active, we'll call it, connection to the faith. That is, practice of any Judaism, simply just Judaism as an identity. And when Judaism has become purely an identity, your identity conforms, or Judaism therefore conforms, to the other parts in your life in which you prioritize. And so Judaism no longer becomes a driver, Judaism becomes a passenger in life. And that's very tough to see in this sort of climate, because what it results in is a complete disconnect from the needs of the community in servitude of other, I would say at base level, political considerations. And that's tough because it poses a challenge to the community itself of what is a Jew, because at this rate, especially with it's a mixture of intermarriage, but also the lack of affordability in Jewish education, which pushes families out. It makes it impossible to provide a Jewish background for a kid. At this rate, the base of the pyramid of the Jewish people will start to tilt towards the latter category, the category that is less involved in the practice of Judaism and simply more involved in the lived experience just as a diaspora Jew. That, to me, becomes very destructive to the culture, because the culture of any people requires practice, shared language, shared practices, shared history. And so as these things start to fall away, the Jewish people, their greatest threat comes from within, from the fracturing and from the next generation that lack the connection to what makes us Jews. So I think in the last couple of years, what's really been made apparent to me is that where we have most failed as a people who have continued to mature and grow is the lack of reinforcement of the need to participate in Judaism rather than just be Jewish, right? There's a lot of things, like, I am Jewish, right? That's simply a label, right? Rather than I practice Judaism. I rarely hear anyone say I practice Judaism. I am Jewish. But one of the very special things is the holidays. And one of the biggest parts of the holidays is the high holidays in which we gather in shul. And what's really spectacular is that though this is a small group, what you guys are doing here is reinforcing a connection to the practice of Judaism. I think always, every year, I come with a mixture of both excitement and aggravation on the holiday month. Holiday month is extremely disruptive to our workflow, to our life balance. There's a lot of meals to cook, a lot of travel to do, and in my case this year, every year I come to you guys at the start of a bobsled season. And sometimes the holidays are earlier, sometimes they're later. This year is a special year for me, it's Olympic qualification season, but our sliding, let's say, doesn't begin for another 3 or 4 weeks, and the qualification race is not another 50 days. It kind of falls smack in the middle of all this training, and do I want to do the holidays? The holidays so aggravating. But what's sweet about it is that it forces us to partake in a ritual, right? It forces us to practice Judaism. And oftentimes when I consider the things that cause me some aggravation, usually the practice of Judaism, right? Whether it's Shabbos sometimes, or feeling or needing to actively partake in 26 hours of fasting and standing up on the bima and doing all this sort of, I sinned and I did this and I did that. At the end of the day, it's these practices that have kept the people together, right? It's what's continued to create the lineage of Judaism that we really hold dear. And so while momentarily it feels like a little bit of an aggravation that, on a weeknight and the next weekday, 2 weekdays, or even some of the years where it leads into a 3-day holiday and it's, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This is the beauty of a faith that demands some practice to continue to survive. And that's really something special that we have, that at least I appreciate very much in the last couple of years. And especially on a night like tonight, where I was wondering, do we get 10? Because what happens if we don't get 10? We don't get to practice some of the traditions, some of what we would say without the 10. So I don't actually know, there's no deep lesson here, really. I don't know where Judaism is going as a community in the midst of all this. It's really tough to project that out into the future. But I think that in looking every single time I come back to the community, I always feel a sense of, because I don't spend time in the community except for the high holidays, but this is my spiritual community. I am on the road 24/7 for the entirety of the year, but this is where I come back to as a spiritual home base every year now for the last 9 years. And so it really pulls me in, makes me appreciate what you guys provide in my life and what Judaism provides in my life. And hopefully, as each one of us sit here, though every single year I say the same thing, which is it's all very individual. The high holidays are very individual. It's about finding our own spark. Everyone's heard me say this. It's about finding the spark, the moment of that's the essence of tshuva. It's just a literal moment that you say in your brain, I have been who I am, who I was. I am presently where I am now, and here's where I'd like to go in the future, and I am disappointed that I didn't live up to that potential, or that I will change in a specific way to achieve that potential. That's very, very individual, but there is a major communal aspect to this. It's very beautiful, and I really, really love coming back here every year, because to me this is such a special experience. Even saying it's a struggle to get 10, how special is it that in a community 10 people have managed to come out and actually make this a part of their evening, right? A part of their year. It's very, very wonderful. You should all give yourselves a spiritual and physical pat on the back for that. But let's head in to Maariv. I'll preface this with always the same thing. I am a Baal Tefillah, not a Chazan. So my job is not to drag it out, and my job is not to sing, this is not the best of hits of Judaism. It's to facilitate our spark finding. So on some of the times during the prayers over the next, 2 days, and then on Yom Kippur, some of them will be what seems to be sped through, and that's generally just because it's it's not deep, right? It's just, in the community is not supposed to remain in synagogue this is not meant to pull on your time, right? This is meant, there's a purpose to this, right? But at the end of the day as well, the center of Jewish life is in the home. Right, and so we all do have homes and families to get back to celebrate with. So pardon me if it's not your style to blitz through some things, but that is generally the what I subscribe to is time that's meaningful with the community, and then meaningful alone, where you have more time of that, is far more relevant to the community itself than keeping you in your seats listening to a bunch of drawn-out melodies. So, tonight, not too many things to point out. Maariv is much more impactful, I'd say, on Yom Kippur night. We will have a special nigun, the special tunes that go along with the high holidays. It's a die, da die, 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 die. If you don't know it, you'll pick it up very quick because it's very, it's done in everything. The different Kaddishes have different tunes. You'll pick up on it quickly if you've forgotten it. But the big one is, after each service is completed, so Mincha, Maariv, Shacharis, Musaf, there's a Kaddish Shalem, and that's like the real joyous one, and everyone is welcome to sing and join in on that one. It's the Yiskadel v'Yiskadesh. All right, so that one. But everything else you'll pick up on. Last things, if you get lost in the prayer, just turn to a random page if you want. Find a page that speaks to you. Like there's davening has never been set in stone. Davening has actually morphed over the years and evolved as different Gedolim have inserted things, taken away things, even some of the things that we'll get to tomorrow, such as the very moving story of Rav Abdon from Mainz and the Bishop of Mainz, were inserted just later. Right, so what is the point of davening? Davening is a replacement for the karbanos, for the offerings that used to be offered in the temple service during the holidays. But we no longer offer offerings. This is what we have, tefillah, davening. But davening is it's not for God. God doesn't need our prayers. God is an omnipotent being. He's got 7 billion people to take care of. So he doesn't need us to say every word. What davening is for is to facilitate within us certain things, right? Certain feelings and emotions. So if you get lost in the prayer and you don't even know where we are, you just start turning some pages, see what speaks to you if you want. If you turn to a page with offerings and stuff, very boring. Move 100 pages beyond that. Other than that, yeah, have a good holiday. Let's have a great new year. And we start with Baruch.
Baruch for the evening for Marv.
Yes.
We're on page 23. We're going to start at the top of 23. Baruch, please rise.
ושיננת לבניך ודיברת בם, ושיתך בביסך, ובלתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם ליוצא ידיך, ויוטת תפוס בעיניך, וקסתם ומזוזות ביסך, ובשעריך. Adonai lechem nemes. Amadir bana, ben Yisrei Amsuf, Esther Pim Vesoniem, Bisamos Tiba, Grubana. Yivrasel, Shimchu v'adu lishmo, Umachus el ratzon, Kiblu alehem, Moshe u'bnei Yisrael, Lechanu shira, V'simcha rava, V'amru chulam, Malchusecha, Rovanecha, V'kayam, Lifnei Moshe, Zeli, Anu v'amru, Adonai Yimloch Elam Bo'ed Ne'emar, Kifado Adonai Yisakov, Ugelo Miyad Chazak Mimenu, Baruch Atah Adonai, Goal Yisrael. Ushmor Teiseinu, Uvaleinu, L'chaim U'Lishalom, Mi'ata Mi'ad Olam, Ufros Aleinu, Sukkah Shalomecha, Baruch Atah Adonai, Haporei Sukkah Shalom, Aleinu, V'al Kol Amo Yisrael, V'al Yerushalayim, Tika B'Choshen V'Sem Kivot Yisrael V'Shat Yaakov, Yitzchadel, V'Yitzchadesh, Shemei Hava, V'Amadi V'Chusei, V'Amlich Malchusei, V'Chayechon, V'Yomechon, V'Chayei, D'chol Beis Yisrael, V'Agulav Zakarim, V'Imru, Amen. U'Me'omaya, Yisbarach, V'Yishabach, V'Yisbar, V'Yisrama, V'Yisnasei, V'Yisar, V'Yissaleh, V'Yisar Shmeinu Gutsha, Berichu, Leila, Uleila, Min Kol Echasa, V'Shirasa, Tushbechasa, V'Nechemasa, Damir Amela, V'Imru, Amen.
Lead on 31.
saved on paper.
We have to say La David, it's not in exactly in order in our Moxer, so you're gonna go to page 91, for Psalm 24, La David.
And it is sung in many congregations responsively, so I will be doing it line by line with a small pause. Feel free to either say it somewhat in undertone with me or after the pause, or just follow along in English, however you'd want to do it. David Mizmor, Ladonai, Hartzim Loa, Tevel, V'Yosheva. Kihu Ayamim Yisada, V'Yamero Sichonenea. Mi Ale Behar Adonai, Umi Yakum, Mimkom Kacha. Mikhi Chafayim Uvar Levav Asher Lo Nasa Shab Nafshi Lo Nishba Lemirma Yisab Racham Yesad Adonai Utzdakam Eleisho Zedor Darsham V'Vakshei Panecha Yaakov Selah Su sharim rasheichem, v'inasu b'yisrei olam, v'yavo melech hakavod. Mi ze melech hakavod, Adonai Yizus v'gibor, Adonai gibor milchama. Su sharim rasheichem, usu b'yisrei olam, v'yavo melech hakavod. Mi hu ze melech hakavod, Adonai tzos, hu melech hakavod, Selah. Yiskadel v'yiskadei shnei rabba, v'yolim ha'divrach erusei, v'yamlich v'achusei, v'chayichon, oyum yomeichon, u'v'chayin v'chol beis Yisrael, Bagav Zankar Yidei Meru Amein O Yehishnei Rabba Mevara Ve'olam Le'omei Omaya Yisparach Ve'ishtabach V'yispar Ve'yisrava Ve'yisnasei Ve'yisadar Ve'yisale Ve'yisalal Shnei B'kudesho B'richu Ve'hiva Ule'ila Mikol der chasa v'shirasa, tush v'chasa v'nechamasa, t'mram v'alavi yimeru hamein, oy tiskabel tzilazon, u'vehoson, dechol beis Yisrael, kadamon nishma v'yimeru hamein, ishlam harabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael, v'yimeru hamein. Oseh shalom bimrama v'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. Aaron doesn't.
Did it open the arm? Okay.
We save the opening of the Aron later for the times that we kneel.
Oh, okay. Even during the,
So I noticed the shul's custom
yeah,
to do it all the time.
yeah.
But in order to make a distinction between some people on this holiday, because most people, their practice is not to ever kneel, right? So it's good to just differentiate and be like, anytime we open the Aron for a lay kneeling, it'll be a kneeling time.
Okay. All right, we'll change that.
It's how we actually done it last time. All right, Aleinu.
43, we're on page 43, about a little bit down the beginning of the page.
Aleinu shabei aladon hakol v'seis gidula le'etzer breshis shelo asanu tigei haratzos v'lo samanu kishvos adama shelo samchatinu gahem v'gor aleinu kechol amonam v'nachnu korim v'shtachavim u'mudim לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שירת השם
בשמיים ויעש לארץ, ומשל יקרא בשמיים ממעל, ושכינה תזוב, לגבי מרבים, הוא אלוהינו, אינו אפס חכנו, אפס לא סו, כך כסוף בשרסו, וידעת היום, ואשר עושו, אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחרזנו. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא.
ביום ההוא
יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Anyone saying Kaddish?
Is anyone saying Kaddish today?
So then we'll go into the final David. Just before I forget, because basically finished. Aleinu is also one of those prayers that takes on a very heightened meaning in these last couple of years. Aleinu was originally, it's a huge affirmation that God is God, that our God is God. And it was originally part of the prayer, inserted into the prayer at a time where I believe it was the Romans. They would go into the synagogues and they would wait for Shmona Esrei, the Amidah, because they thought the Amidah was the climax of the spiritual part of the service, and they would try to evangelize or proselytize or get the Jews to convert. And so they would leave after Shmona Esrei, because Shmona Esrei, what's bigger than Shmona Esrei? What's bigger than the Amidah? The Aleinu was put in to remind those who were still in shul that our God's God. Don't go towards the pagan gods or the other gods. So I find it, particularly relevant in our day and age because it's a reaffirmation of the faith. And it's also why, in a lot of modern shuls, they don't like the Shehem Shahavim Hevel Varik portion of it. There's a passage that they pray to gods that don't exist, and are basically the word would be literally translated to like spit. It doesn't really mean that. Like a lot of things in Judaism, it's a little blown out. But that's why that passage was there, right? It's not that we look down on other religions. It's because that was specifically in there to remind people that they're trying to get you to go astray. They don't know what they're talking about, sort of deal. It was never supposed to be. If you ever look at that passage and people are like, they take issue with that passage, it was not to put down other religions. It was just to keep people kind of in line with it. Anyways, David Ori, and then Adon Olam, and we'll be finished. What page would that be?
So it's not.
It'll be one of these like after. Oh, right there. 40. Bottom, page 45.
45 at the bottom after the Kaddish, yeah.
But definitely we should. Luleman tileros betuva my beretz chaim kavel my chazak v'metzilecha v'kavel Adonai. Pick a tune for Adonai.
Before we do that, I should mention what AJ and I were just talking about a few minutes ago for Aleinu, and that was, it's our custom to open the ark all the time for Aleinu, but AJ says during the high holidays we should reserve that for when the Shalik Zibur is kneeling during that part of the service.
Right, so different shuls have different customs on opening the Aron during Aleinu. I know it's the custom of the shul to do it year-round all the time, but during this time of the year is the only time in which Jews actually kneel on the floor. to prostrate themselves before God, and that takes place mostly during the recitation of the Aleinu and the Musaf time of the prayer. And so in order to kind of retain the uniqueness of the Aleinu on the high holidays, I believe we adopted this last year, but it would be my preference that we open the Aron only at those points in which we are kneeling and prostrating ourselves, because this is just a different, it should be its own sort of unique standalone feature in the davening.
Okay.
Pick a tune.
Or,
I don't know.
first I gotta find the page.
Should we outsource this? Does anyone want to start with a tune for Adon Olam? We'll just go with it.
Marshall.
B'terem kol.
Yes, who likes the response?
Yitzir nivra, li'es nasa, v'chetz kol. Azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam, v'yacharei kichos hakol, levado yimach nara Adon Olam, v'hu haya, v'hu yiveh, v'hu yeh v'sifar Adon Olam, asher malav, v'terem kol. Yitzir nivra, leis nasa, v'chetz hakol. Azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam, v'hu echad, v'ein sheni, v'hamshi lo lachvir Adon Olam, v'li reishis, v'li zachlis, v'lo ozeh hamisra Adon Olam, asher alav, v'terem kol. Yitzir nivra, leis nasa, v'chetz hakol. Azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam, v'hu eli, v'chai go'ali, v'tzorchev li v'eser Adon Olam, v'hu nisi, u'manosli, v'naskosi v'yom ekra Adon Olam, asher alav, v'terem kol. Yitzir nivra, leis nasa, v'chetz hakol. Azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam, v'idei yado afkid ruchi, v'eis yishan v'ya'ir Adon Olam, v'im ruchi givi yasi, Adonai li v'lo ira Adon Olam, asher malav, v'terem kol. Yitzir nivra, leis nasa, v'chetz hakol. Azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam. All right, before everyone goes home, last thing. Just the thing that I forgot to say tonight. Rosh Hashanah is not about feeling guilty or negative about how we've been the last year. That's for the days that fall post Rosh Hashanah and up to Yom Kippur. Rosh Hashanah is Yom Kippur is also a very joyous day in the calendar. It's often misconstrued, but it's very joyous. But Rosh Hashanah is all about Kabbalas Ol Malchut Shemayim, which means accepting God as the king, or the yoke of God's kingship over us. So there's going to be a lot in the davening if you come back, which you all should. But if you come back, the word Melech is repeated ad nauseum in the davening, and that's for a good reason. So in the remainder of the holiday, however you spend it, our job, even though our job is to find the spark of being the better person, do it in the context of being extremely proud of who you are, right? Of being proud of the Jew you are, and that you guys all made it to shul. You're ahead of 99.9% of the spiritual game here. So none of this negative feeling. Judaism oftentimes reinforces some negative feeling, but very positive, loving feeling. Go home and hug everyone, but also at the end of the day, remember, this is not a sad or negative day at all. It's all joy, joy, joy. So have a good night. Hello! It's great to see you again. Oh, anytime I'm here, I'm good.
When did you come back to the States?
Just a few days ago, actually.
From Japan?
Yes, on Friday.
Wow.
Yeah, I got landed on Friday. So I landed. I was like, I gotta go to my brother's apartment in New York, get some clothes that aren't shorts and t-shirts, and make my way here.
That's fantastic.
I'm so glad to be here. It's good to see you.
Yeah,
How's
it's
your year been?
Good,
Yeah.
good, yeah.
Anything new?
Well, Max is now officially in New York, living